All right. What is good? What is good, everybody? What is good? All right. Great to be back with you guys again. So great to be back with you guys once again. All right, I'm going to give people just a couple of minutes to get themselves situated and all that, because you know how we like to do it on the show. We like to give everybody a nice little opportunity to stretch out real quick, maybe grab a quick refreshing drink and all that before we get ready to start the show and all that. So I know you guys are going to be feeling the show tonight as far as the quality of the show goes. I told you all last week, the last time we were on the air was Wednesday, and we were having some internet issues. If you notice, that stream that we did on Wednesday, it was so bad that the episode was pulled. The episode was pulled, as far as I know. It was pulled on all the platforms. And going forward, to those of you that tune in live, it's very important when I ask you guys, are you experiencing any lag issues, any sound quality issues? If you're used to checking out the show a particular way, you know, as far as the quality goes, what you've come to expect. And if it is below that expectation that you normally meet, you know, it's a two-way street. You know, I love giving the feedback to you guys. I love interacting with you guys, reading you all's comments and trying to make you guys feel as if you're a part of the show, like it's a really cool conversation and everything. But please, the last thing to do is when I ask you guys if everything is good with the stream and you guys are silent, that's not good. And it was kind of heartbreaking to see after the show was over, when I had played the show back. I think we did about an hour and 58 minutes of a show. And it turns out across multiple platforms, the feed got interrupted. Like YouTube, for instance, the stream got interrupted after about maybe an hour. Facebook only had got about 55 minutes of the show. I think Twitter had got about maybe an hour and 10. It was so weird. So, yeah, you got to be vocal. You definitely got to be vocal. And I mean what I said when it comes to those posts that I had put going into the weekend. I had said something along the lines of, yo, if this trend continues, I've got no problem just making the shows be exclusively available on demand and on the downloads as an audio version. And if anything, the webcast versions of the shows is just pre-recorded going into 2022. So interaction, it's a two-way street. You know, we got to meet halfway with each other. That's the only way we can continue to make this show thrive, especially in a way where we got to, you know, we want to try to have more people know about the show and all of that. FYI, I just want to really kind of stretch out upon that thought, because I know some people probably had read that comment I made last week and probably felt it was from a place of anger, and it wasn't. It was just honestly from a place of, look now, you know, this is what's up. You know, it's like, I don't care if it's one person that's tuning in, if it's 10 people that's tuning in live. If a question is asked, how's the stream quality and all that doing, if there's any issues, you know, you definitely got to be vocal about it. You definitely got to sound off and be like, you know, hey, it's good. Hey, nah, actually, I'm noticing this stuff going on here, all that good stuff. Yeah. So that's our pre-show little yakety yak. We could definitely go on ahead and start the official show. Welcome to those of you that's tuning in for Monday night of September 20th, 2021. Lee Sanders here. You're checking out an all new RCWR show covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Mine's was awesome. Mine's was awesome. Caught up on a decent amount of rest, and I definitely needed it. How about some of those great football games that we got from over the weekend? I mean, the instant classic matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs, that was such a phenomenal game. I mean, that was a nail biter for me, and it was as if I was watching essentially Kobe versus Kevin Durant or something like that. I mean, that's just the first two names that really come into my mind. Just seeing the great back and forth. I cannot begin to tell you how, as a resident over here in the DC, Maryland area, how ecstatic I was to see Lamar just get that one ghost that's been in his closet for so long. His one kryptonite has been Patrick Mahomes and those Kansas City Chiefs. And to see him have such a great performance, Lamar Jackson I'm speaking of, to see him have such a phenomenal performance on Sunday. All right, that's one. You got that. You got that victory. Now you got to do it again, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be meeting up with the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. If Lamar Jackson and the Ravens continue to play the way that they've been playing, they will definitely meet the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. And that's when it really, really is going to count the most. And that was just a great game. That was a phenomenal game. You know, not for nothing, but the game that went down between the Chargers and the Cowboys, that was a great game as well. The fact that it came down to a field goal kick. But look, in retrospect, you could definitely say Chargers had plenty of opportunities to their assignments just on the offense. I mean, they just kept, and then defense just, they just totally had missed it. But then not for nothing, you look at what Mike McCarthy was doing over there. And Mike McCarthy, there was a bunch of questionable calls he made as well that, honestly, I think we would have been having a different conversation going into this week if Mike McCarthy ended up losing that game. I really think it would be a different conversation. I definitely kind of feel as though he would have been on the hot seat for many Dallas radio stations the next day, without a shadow of doubt. Without a shadow of doubt. I know Green Bay is playing the Detroit Lions. That game is about to end. Please, no spoilers. I've actually got that game recording on YouTube TV. When I'm done with the show, I'm actually going to pick you on back and check it out. But yeah, great weekend for wrestling. I know as far as women's wrestling goes, Shine actually did something. I'm actually going to check that out later on in the week. If I can check it out and be able to talk about it come Wednesday, I'll definitely talk about it with you guys. I promise you all. But yeah, pretty good weekend. Hope your weekend was pretty good. You see, for those of you that normally check out the stream, you see my ceiling fan is not on. And that is because we are finally starting to get that nice fall weather. So it is nice and cool in the studio here, in the man cave, as I like to call it. And I love that. When we got weather that's that good, you don't need to have the fan on. I love it. I love it. So me personally, I love it when the fall is here. I love it when the winter is here. I particularly like when the winter is here because I don't have to worry about my neighbors just tearing it up with the loud music every other day. I'll say this, they got enough common sense when it comes to folks that, you know, need to get up for work the next day. Kids got to go to school the next day. I'll give them credit where credit is due. They stop their music at a decent time. Even on the weekends, I'll say they actually kind of, they stop playing their music at a decent time. Hey, when you're like me, you're a homeowner, you can pretty much, right? But you guys definitely feel where I'm coming from. Hey, loaded show that we got for you guys tonight. It is jam freaking packed of an episode. Loads of good stuff we're going to be getting into. We definitely going to be kicking it off talking about that plane ride from hell. I think, honestly, look, Raw was good. Don't get me wrong. Raw was exceptionally good. If I can just, overall, as far as Raw tonight, I thought this was one of their more stronger episodes that they've put out this respected quarter. I'm definitely giving it to WWE. This was a far more enjoyable episode of WWE Raw that I've experienced in recent months, because many times we have been on this show and we have gone through the motions of always repeatedly saying, so episode. Yeah, it was all right. Well, you know, it only had 2 good spots here. That was really, you know, that's always been a constant theme that we've had on this show. But no, I honestly, no bullshit. And I made sure that I got in my little power nap to make sure that I was as sharp as a tack watching this show tonight. And it's not a case where old man Lee needs to just kick on back and get himself a couple of Z's because he don't know what he's talking about. No, I purposely made sure I got in a nice little power nap before Raw tonight. And no, from opening to the end, it was actually a really good, strong episode. I enjoyed it so much so I really need for WWE to continue in some form to build off of this blueprint and try to make sure that, particularly for Raw, they keep bringing it the way that they brought it with tonight's show. So, and the way that they did this show as well, I also got to commend WWE from this standpoint. The way that they did this show in the rearview mirror, you know, WWE reminded you a couple of times, but you had to constantly remind yourself, oh, snap, this weekend is a pay-per-view. And just the way that Raw was laid out tonight, it really didn't have that go home pay-per-view feel. If you guys kind of get where I'm coming from, it really didn't. It just kind of felt as though different people maybe came in charge of tonight's overall production and execution of the show, and they just pretty much went from there and all that. So I thought definitely it was a good show. We'll talk more about Raw later on, but yeah, we definitely, I think it's more than fair. We open up the show talking about that whole plane ride from hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring. I know that episode had premiered on Thursday. I know we usually do not do a show on Thursdays. So I know a lot of people that normally do not even talk about Dark Side of the Ring. Don't even do reviews of Dark Side of the Ring whatsoever. This was the one episode where all of a sudden, out of the woodworks, everybody decided, oh, we got to talk about this Dark Side of the Ring episode. It's kind of interesting when you think about it, because we have so many people that's talking about this that normally wouldn't talk about Dark Side of the Ring. But at the same time, this was not for nothing, but per Vice, this was one of their lowest rated Dark Side of the Ring episodes since this series began almost 3 years ago. Just really stop and think about that. This Dark Side of the Ring episode did better numbers than the most recent numbers that came about from Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling this past week, their ratings had did about 105,000 viewers, whereas this Dark Side of the Ring episode on the plane ride from hell did about somewhere between 150,000 to 160,000 viewers. That's the lowest that a Dark Side of the Ring episode has ever gained. Yet, when you check out the episode on YouTube, I mean, man, the numbers on YouTube, phenomenal. Last I had saw, they had did about over 400,000. I would imagine by now, I didn't check today at all. I would imagine by now, if you were to tell me, no, they've actually surpassed the 400,000 mark. They're now a little bit over the 500,000 mark. I would not be surprised at that. Nowadays, with a lot of people that are cutting the cable, ditching the satellite, and they're going strictly with services like a YouTube TV, which is what I have. I highly recommend it for those of you that's been thinking about cutting the cable and all that. I think that's a very good, affordable option. You can't beat $64 a month, just flat out, no surprises, just $64 a month. You can't beat that. Or if you want to go with a Sling TV, you want to go with a Hulu, those are good alternatives as well. I would also recommend those as well. But in a day and age where a lot of people are cutting the cords and everything, there are certain channels or certain networks that people are not able to get access to. Vice is definitely one of those. And as I've been telling you guys that's been wanting to check out Dark Side of the Ring, you want to get Pluto TV. For those of you that are already cord cutters, you want to get Pluto TV. That's about, I think it's about $19 a month, and you're able to check it out that way. It's pretty good. Ask me about it on social media if you got the Twitter, Instagram, and all that, and I can definitely walk you through more of Pluto TV. But it's very similar to Sling and Hulu in a nutshell, for those of you that's never heard of that before. So not for nothing, but it's kind of like yin and yang. On the one hand, it's the lowest rated episode, but then you look at the engagement and the activity that's going on with that episode on social media platforms, and it's picking up a lot of traction and all that. So definitely smart on the Dark Side of the Ring, guys, for making that episode be available on YouTube. Put your little monetization behind it, all that jazz, and really get all that you need to get. I have been doing my thing with these shows since 2011, and this November we're officially going to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary. And I say that because I remember being on this show, and I remember when Grantland had put out an article and they documented every single occurrence that happened in the life of Ric Flair. They looked at all of his marriages, his failed marriages. They looked at the plane accident he had where he was seriously injured for a series of months there. They looked at his tax problems. They looked at they left no stone unturned. They went all over the place. They even went into what had went down on that infamous plane ride from hell. Grantland really did a phenomenal chronological order job. I would highly encourage you guys, and as I've always for years now, that when Dark Side of the Ring comes out with their shows, I have always been one of the most vocalist people in telling you, hey, when it comes to these Dark Side shows, research ahead of time. Research. That way, you know the complete picture as best as you can get the representation of it. And when you're going into that Dark Side of the Ring episode, you can compare notes and you can essentially, okay, yeah, it kind of looks like they went over, okay, yeah, they're missing this right here. Hey, why didn't they cover this? Okay, I've always said that. And for this plane ride from hell, this was definitely, one of those stories where you really, really needed to get the entire picture. I think what makes this so fresh, so revigorating for the wrestling community is the fact that you've got some wrestling fans that are honestly just casual wrestling fans. And there's nothing wrong when you have that casual wrestling fan that really isn't tuned in to all things that's going on with some of these wrestling promotions, with some of these wrestlers, their personal lives, things that are, of course, made publicly. Like, there's no way you can dodge it. You can just... My wife would actually fall into that category because by her being a casual wrestling fan, she is that type of a casual wrestling fan. If she's home and she happens to see that wrestling is on, mainly because I'm watching it, she will then watch. But she's that type of wrestling fan that's not going to go out of her way to actually change the channel and watch wrestling. Not unless it's maybe a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania, and she'll inquire about that because she wants to see that, okay? One of those type of deals. When CM Punk came back recently, she wanted to see that because she's as much of a CM Punk fan as I am. So she is that type of, and I would imagine other people fall in that respective category as well, where that type of wrestling fan is not normally going to be checking out the dirt sheets. They're not really going to be listening to wrestling podcasts, things of that nature. So they may not know about this Ric Flair plane ride from hell story and all of that. So this will be new to them. But for guys such as myself that initially talked about this almost 10 years ago, we're going, okay, yeah, we already know the entire story. We've seen the shoot interviews. We've seen various wrestlers that were interviewed about this plane ride that were sharing their experiences and all of that. We know a lot of these stories that has already come about with Ric Flair. So tell us maybe something that we do not know. That's how us veteran wrestling fans that already knew about this was going into this episode. But I think when you are able to put faces behind some of these stories that took place on this plane ride. When you're actually able to home in on one of the victims involved in this plane ride, Mrs. Heidi Doyle, and you're able to get context, you're able to get that great substance, that's when you really just wow. And you take a step back and you just whoa, because now you have a three-dimensional shape to it. It's one thing to maybe read a deposition. It's one thing to maybe read a newspaper article or listen to something that's covered on a radio, but to actually get it in front of your eyes, seeing these people tell the stories by their firsthand recollection and things of that nature, that's where we are today. That's why we've got this freshness that has come about this and everything. And the two people that, of course, really come out from this episode not looking good whatsoever: Ric Flair and Tommy Dreamer. So let's go with the Nature Boy Ric Flair first. Let's go with Ric Flair first. So look at the fallout from this. WWE is now distancing themselves tremendously from this whole stuff involving Ric Flair, right down to the point, in case you didn't watch Raw tonight, that nice WWE cold intro, that cold opener. Oh, they made sure they took the Ric Flair stuff out. The woo, they made sure they took all of that out. So they are just, nope, they don't want nothing to do with that. There was a Ric Flair Legacy Championship that was up for pre-order. They had released it, if not last week, definitely a couple of weeks ago. And they pretty much were saying, get in your pre-orders now. You can get it. I believe they had said they were going to start mailing them out early November, like around November 5th. They were going to start shipping out these Ric Flair Legacy titles and all that. You go on the WWE shop website, those bad boys, nothing. You looking for Ric Flair merchandise, nothing. All of that stuff as of right now, all of that stuff has been pulled. So you got that type of fallout that's going on from that. All right, so no more Ric Flair online stuff on the WWE site. Also, just last week, Ric Flair via social media was announced for I believe the New York Comic Con. He was announced for, as they had mentioned that he was going to be there for both dates. He was going to be doing autographs and all of that. This stuff went down. All right, yoink, that's been pulled. He's no longer advertised. Car Shield. Woo, cars go farther. Car Shield. They put out this big epic statement talking about how they take allegations like this very seriously. And yeah, as a result, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pause these ads. We're going to pause our ads. We're no longer going to be advertising the Ric Flair Car Shield commercials. But if you were watching WWE on the USA Network tonight, you would have seen that there was a Ric Flair Car Shield commercial. There were quite a few of you, besides me, that were very, very observant. And, look, let's be honest. There's some commercials that we get that we talk about when we're watching our wrestling shows and all that. Some of them, that's kind of, what the hell? Me personally, I'm getting sick and tired of the damn Sonic commercials. I don't know about you guys. I cannot stand the Sonic commercials. Don't even get me started. I miss the two old white guys. The middle-aged white guys, whatever was going on with them. I miss those two guys. They were quirky. They were funny. They were corny as hell. But I liked them. There was something about them that was just, I'm not feeling these average Joe motherfuckers. Just, yeah, that's just me personally. But you get the point that I'm making. Now, look, I know we had a few people that were, they probably meant well, but they really didn't understand the context of what I said initially when I mentioned the fact that, wow, we still got these Car Shield ads that's going on here. People kind of missed what I was saying. And sadly, Twitter, Instagram, there's only but so many characters you can put out there. So I don't know about you. I ain't got time to be spoon feeding people on social media what I'm really thinking. I'm not going to be doing no page 1, no page 2, no page 3, no post 4, no post 5. I ain't got time for all of that. This bad boy right here that's in my hands, this microphone, when I need to really lay out my thoughts accordingly, this for me is my baby. This is my power. This is my pride and joy right here. The point that I was making specifically when I was bringing up the whole car shield thing is, okay, you see how this company was talking a really good game. Oh, we take these allegations very seriously, and yeah, we're going to pause these ads. We're not going to be showing these ads anymore. Now, to the people that were trying to say to me, oh, well, you know, they've purchased a certain amount of ad TV time already, and for those respected reasons, there's just no way they can just stop. Okay, I need you to have that same consistency. I need you to have that same energy and all that, and try to explain to me or justify when the stuff went down some weeks back with Chris Jericho and Nick Gage, in their little hardcore match, and during a picture-in-picture or whatever it was, we got the Domino's joint. Domino's so freaking outraged that to this very day, every single time you watch AEW programming on TNT, nowhere in sight, and I do mean nowhere in sight, at least over here on the East Coast, here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I don't know how it is for the West Coast and for those in Canada or Europe and all of that, but here on the East Coast in the good old USA, ain't no more Domino commercials airing on AEW time. So, you know, which is it, right? You know, I guess some people want to kind of feel like they're part of the conversation and all that, and I appreciate that. But sometimes before you just post, sometimes it's just kind of good to take a step back and just, what's this person really trying to say? How am I really supposed to be reading what they're posting? How am I really supposed to be reacting to this? Because there's always, as one of my favorite Robert Plant songs go, a way with words. Right? You know, it's not always as clear cut as you're making it out to be. See, it's really important that you take a step back and you just, you know, what's going on here? So this plane ride from hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Look, I saw, you know, bits and pieces. I mainly saw the stuff that had everybody talking. You know, for me, it's very fresh. I remember being on the show almost 10 years ago talking about the plane ride from hell and all of that. So for me, you know, I'm pretty much pulling a hardball. Tell me something I don't know. All right. This infamous flight from London to the U.S. while you got Ric Flair in a naked robe harassing a flight stewardess. This one by the name of Heidi Doyle. Rob Van Dam, brother, I fucking love you. Rob Van Dam came out of this looking like a fucking saint. He really did. If there was ever a guy I want to have some drinks with and actually smoke a little weed with, I don't smoke weed, but I have been around people. I have inhaled their smoke, right? So I guess you could say I get the second hand smoke, you know, when I essentially say, I want the smoke. I need the smoke. You know, I'm a cigar man personally. But if there was ever a guy I don't mind having a drink with, even having a little puff pass with, after what I saw of this Dark Side episode, Rob Van Dam, love him. Fucking love Rob Van Dam. You know, for him to back up basically the accounts of what Heidi Doyle put out there, you know, confirming, in fact, what had went down and everything, you're like, wow, oh, okay. Hey, badass. Tommy Dreamer, I mean, oh my God. Look, for Ric Flair to be doing this stuff on this plane ride in the mid-2000s there, or early mid-2000s, and he's in his early 50s. I know we've got people that want to try to stick up for the boys. They want to try to stick up for the wrestling business and all of that. And it's interesting. It's been so interesting these past couple of days to just go in forums, go on social media, and just see what everybody is talking about. I've only put out one statement on social media in regards to the whole thing, and I just pretty much left it at that because my whole thing was I'm going to save my ammo for the Monday show. But the one narrative that I kept seeing that was missing tremendously on social media, everybody trying to bring up all of these points. The one point that was missing unanimously, universally, was this point, which is, hey, if you don't know somebody, it's a good idea to go in with kid gloves. Perfect example. Perfect example. You're at a job. You just started working up there. You're trying to figure out who's who. You're trying to figure out who you can, bond with, because it makes the shift go by a lot quicker. So you're probably most likely, as most people, you're going to do your job, do your thing and all of that. But you're also going to be paying attention to your openings. Maybe when a supervisor or a manager cracks a nice little joke, is kind of being a little playful with you, you may look at that as an opportunity to, oh, okay, well, when it comes to this person, I can essentially let my guard down around them and I can tell a couple of jokes here and there. And all right, you'll build upon that nice camaraderie and all that. Maybe there is a person that likes being affectionate whenever they see people. Affectionate from the standpoint of when they see you, they've got to give you a hug. They've got to touch your face. They got to ask you how you doing and all of that. Things of that nature, right? Not everybody is that receptive to those type of interactions, especially when it comes to a physical standpoint, especially when it comes to jokes and things of that nature. Not to get political, look at the stuff that was going on there with Biden a while back, how people were just, man, you look at all the times that Biden is touching people. Remember that? Remember that? You can't just, right? That type of stuff is what I'm talking about. Now, some of you that need me to help you connect the dots a little bit further, sticking to this episode here. So look at it from this standpoint. It'd be one thing if the stewardess, the staff that were involved on this plane had some type of wrestling experience, be it they were involved in the wrestling industry at some point and they pretty much know how these men and women can act, or they are strictly employed by said wrestling promotion. They get paid by this wrestling promotion to essentially fly the talons here and there all over the place. And so there's already that rapport. It would be no different than, looking at some of these celebrities. Kobe comes to mind right now. And I'm sorry if this brings up a lot of bad memories, but you look at the fact that Kobe Bryant, we know what happened with that plane crash, that helicopter crash. It was very unfortunate, but that was somebody that he had a rapport with, right? So it's one thing if you have that established rapport, right? Then it's kind of, hey, how you been? Ha ha ha, being playful, all that little silly crap and all that. But when you are around people that you've had no interactions with before, when you are around people that you don't know what makes them tick, you don't know what's going on in their personal life, you don't know if some of the antics that you may pull, if they will find them truly to be funny or if they may find them to be truly offensive. If there was ever a time where, no, you know what, I think I need to be on my P's and Q's. I need to be on my P's and Q's here. I got to make sure that, because I don't know where this person is going to be coming from. You got to play it smart. You just got to play it smart. And the fact that type of logic was missing on that plane, homing in on Ric Flair there, to hear about the amount of booze that was on that plane before the guys even took off, and just the amount that they had freaking went through. And you're going, and we get to a point where Ric Flair is butterball naked, but has a robe on, and he's running around swinging his dick like Thor's hammer. And he, essentially, physically gets this flight stewardess, a Heidi Doyle, in the corner and is encouraging her to touch it and actually puts her hand on his penis. And I'm hearing this shit about boys will be boys and all this other. Get the fuck out of here with that verbiage, because that's a crock of bullshit. That is a crock of bullshit. I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not. When you don't know somebody, you don't have that rapport with them. No, you don't operate that way. You just don't. Even if you're being playful, even if there's no malice, there's no, I'm not trying to be a sexual predator. I'm not trying to sexually harass and assault this individual. I was just being playful. Yeah, you might be being playful, but that other person, especially when you don't know them and they don't know you, they may not look at it as that. First impressions mean so much to individuals in this society that we're in. You all know this. You know this very well. That first impression that you get of somebody, once you've gotten that first impression, especially if it's a negative first impression, you're going to be like, oh, I am not giving that person a second opportunity. Fuck no. Perfect example. And this isn't long-winded. It just connects to the point that I'm making. I remember when me and wifey tied the knot in June. One of the people that was there, oh my God. Before the ceremony, this girl was already hammered. And here's the beautiful part. There was no drinks and all of that at the wedding location, because we all were supposed to head back to our condo that we were, renting as our little honeymoon getaway and all that. Everybody was supposed to come back to our condo for the reception party afterwards. Cake, all drinks, all that good stuff. So this girl is already hammered before I'm tying the knot, and she just comes up to me heavily intoxicated. Who are you? Are you the groom? And I mean, she was just, and I just looked at her. I tried to do my best to keep a straight face and kind of smile, but I'm just thinking to myself, who the fuck is this drunk person in front of me? And I remember afterwards when me and wifey compared notes, and she was even embarrassed. And I told her, I said, yo, I was like, that was my first time meeting this friend, this so-called lifelong friend of yours, childhood friend of yours, and all this other stuff. I'm like, I know you haven't really talked to this person in a couple of years. I'm like, but I'm big on first impressions. And yeah, that was not a really good first impression. She's like, yeah, I agree. And we've already decided that any future little gatherings we're going to be having, because, we're actually been talking about doing a local reception party for those that weren't able to come to the wedding. We're going to do something locally, since a lot of everybody that we know is actually in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So we're going to try to do something but we've already decided, oh yeah, she's on the list. She cannot come. No. Right. So first impressions mean so much. Right. And I got to tell you, I'm very big on that person-to-person interaction, that physical interaction. I like being able to actually look into a person's eyes. I like being able to see their facial expressions. And, I spent a lot of years always trying to read people out with some of the jobs that I've had over the years. I've always had to kind of essentially profile people, and are they a good fit? Would they be right for this focus group? Or, hey, would they be right for this particular study? Or, hey, does this person have legit business being here? Are they supposed to be here? Or are they trespassing? What's going on here? and to just really take in Heidi Dole. She comes off as such a sweet woman, does she not? She comes off as such a wow, you know, what a nice little sweetheart. And to the husband that, you know, she said at some point during this episode that, you know, she was already on some type of you know, thin ice with her husband, or I just think he's a piece of shit. Because she honestly came off to me like such a freaking sweetheart. It's like, who wouldn't want to come? Be honest with yourselves. That's all the episode. Who wouldn't want to come home to that? Nice, you know, good, sweet, warm personality of a woman like that. That's one of those women. Now you want to make sure that you're treating them right. Okay? You're treating them right. She seemed like such a fucking sweetheart. So to see her, you know, because I'm big on that, you know, yeah, it's great that you have the podcast audio or you got a little transcription, but to actually put the face behind the name, behind the stuff that you've read about over the years, that just adds a whole new dimension to it. And to just really be able to take in her firsthand account to everything that went down, you just couldn't help but just, man, your heart ached for her. You really felt her pain, and you just couldn't help but say to yourself, man, what if that was my sister, my aunt, my grandma? What if that was me as a father, and my daughter is going through this type of an incident here? How would I react to that? And then, you know, we get to the part right here with Tommy Dreamer and the way he just essentially was acting like, honestly, be honest with you. And I got a very interesting Tommy Dreamer story to share with you guys. So I definitely need you to really, really home in on the story, because I've said it off and on, not for nothing. I've talked about this story openly on the show over the past couple of years. And hopefully, you know, a former friend of mine, as far as I know, once in the blue moon, she still, you know, likes to keep tabs, see what I'm doing and everything. Hopefully she won't mind me sharing this story, but I'm definitely going to protect her and not mention her name. But I have a Tommy Dreamer story / experience that may even, you know, kind of, well, damn, Lee. And you all will probably walk away just, yeah, he really is a piece of shit, isn't he? So I'll share more of that story later on here. But for Tommy Dreamer to be interviewed, first of all, Tommy Dreamer didn't even have to do this fucking interview. He didn't have to say a motherfucking thing. Honestly, Tommy Dreamer could have just been like, what's this episode on? Okay, yeah, you know what? That's been regurgitated so many times. I don't really have anything I'd like to say about that. You know, yeah, I pass. I pass on that. But no. Tommy Dreamer damn near committed career overall suicide, and what he had to say. And I quote, he could move his hips, twirl it, you know it. And so his well-endowed penis spins around like a helicopter. So hey, he's the nature boy for a reason. He's got a hammer on him. Ric Flair's not going to try to impose by force any sexual stuff onto anybody. He's just flaunting, styling, and profiling, doing the Ric Flair stuff where everybody's going to laugh about it. But obviously, someone took offense to it. Just his execution, his overall body language, the whole 9 yards. It was just, Tommy, nah, man. Why are you even acting like this? Why are you even coming off like this, dog? Why are you coming off like a dick? You got twin daughters. And you coming off like this? Like this? Dog, homie, what if that was one of your daughters that was on that plane? And they were essentially assaulted like that by Ric Flair. What are you gonna do? Oh, sweetie, it's okay. It's just Uncle Rick just being Rick. Just pay him no mind. He's just being playful. It's okay. Take it. It's okay. Really, it's okay. No, it's not okay. Assault is assault. You feel uncomfortable, you feel uncomfortable. No means no. Have we forgotten about that? I mean, that was a big-ass fucking campaign back in the 80s. I still remember the fucking one trademark commercial that they did back in the 80s where there was this boss. Look this commercial up if you don't believe me, but there's this one commercial where there's this white lady. She's working in a cubicle office, and this white boss, a little thick, you know, kind of has a gritty little voice on him, and I don't know what the woman's name was. Let's just call her Carol. But he just comes up almost kind of like from behind her and says some shit like, Carol, I just want to say you've been doing a phenomenal job for us as of late, and definitely want to encourage you to keep up the great job. And he just starts rubbing her back. And the way he's rubbing her back, he's going at her back almost from, he's rubbing her back in a very sexual, aggressive type of tone and everything. And Carol basically smacks his hand off and tells him how she doesn't appreciate the way he is, coming across to her physically, and that what he's doing is a form of sexual harassment, and she's not gonna take it anymore. I don't know if you guys remember that vintage commercial from back in the day. It was like in the late 80s going into the 90s, right? Just no means no. So you've got Dreamer saying that stuff. But wait, it gets even worse, because you've also got Tommy Dreamer that goes in there and, basically says, and I quote again, if that's how she felt, maybe she have not taken a payout and went to the fullest extent of the law to truly put this heinous person in jail. My opinion. He goes on to say, I feel this is going to portray someone as a sexual predator. And it's not. It's a joke. It's a gag. And today, 1,000% inappropriate. I've hung out with Ric Flair. I've never seen him try to force his will against anybody. Come on, man. Come on. Even if by your first-hand account, Ric Flair has been a saint, he's been all of this, and like the optics, just the optics alone, you don't jump out there and you don't put this type of stuff out here that makes you come off as if you could give two shits not about the victim. Let's talk about that settlement, by the way, since that's like, right? Because obviously Dreamer knows that, oh yeah, Ric Flair and them, okay, there was a settlement. Obviously he knows that because he revealed that. So obviously he knows, right? I'm sure it was probably publicized, but I'm also sure he's probably had a couple of conversations with Flair, and I wouldn't be surprised if Flair had disclosed a little bit of info to him about the whole settlement. Let's talk about settlements real quick. And this isn't long-winded. But in the case of Heidi Dole, she went on ahead and took the settlement at the encouragement of her husband, because they had kids together, young kids together at the time. And the last thing that they wanted to do was put those kids through that. There was already some type of a strain on the marriage. And the last thing you want to add on top of that strain, especially when you have young kids involved in the picture as well, is, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to just drag this out. Not to mention the employer that Mrs. Dole worked for. They did not want this level of publicity, because this was one of those companies that provided services to basically all the sports teams, sports leagues that needed their transportation method of services. And so for the employer, they were not trying to have their name be slung in the fucking mud. You know, they were on her side. They understood what was going on, but the optics, they did not want to get dragged through this, this tabloid juiciness of he said, she said, and they didn't want that type of scrutiny. So all of those things combined is why Dole ultimately went on ahead and said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go on ahead and I'm going to just settle from this. Right? Look, folks, a lot of us can talk a really good game about, oh, I would never, right? But when you're actually in that position, oh, I mean, you can make all the plans in the world, step by step by step. You can have all the plans in the world. But once you're actually in that position and it's time for your instincts to kick in, think fast. Most of us are going to be, right? We're going to be like that, honestly. Most of us. That's okay. It's natural. When I think about settlements and all of that, I want to share a quick story with you guys. It links back to this. Whenever I mention something personal that's going on in my life or indirectly through a friend or a family member, I always pull from that experience to help you guys, especially our younger audience, connect more to the main subject that's at hand that I'm talking about. Let's talk a little bit about settlements and all of that. I mentioned this on the show several months back. Wifey's friend had, there was a guy that she was dating. Let's call wifey's friend, Susan, okay? So Susan was dating this guy. Long story short, actually, you know what? Not that story. I'll tell you this other one. So still wifey's friend Susan. Susan was involved in a car accident. In the car accident that she was involved in, it turns out the woman that was behind the wheel, boy, her blood alcohol level, that bad boy was through the fucking roof. I mean, it was 3 times the legal limit. This girl was hammered. And there was a serious car accident that she calls, including Susan, who was caught up in it. Luckily, Susan just walked away with a little bit of a concussion, had to sit out of work for a couple of days. But it was, I think it was a 5-car pileup accident because of this drunk idiot. Okay. But as far as who Susan would go on to essentially serve as a witness, because when it counted the most, the other passengers of the vehicles, they really didn't want to have anything to do, with this. They kind of wanted to just, hey, we're out here. We're just trying to get to where we need to go, right? Now, the drunk idiot had killed somebody. Home in on that. The drunk idiot had killed somebody. Now, this drunk woman, and it was a woman, she had like a couple of little kids or whatever, right? So I don't know how. I guess because the exchanging of information, car insurance, things of that nature, this drunk idiot actually comes to the residence of Susan and is, pleading with her, hey, please don't take me away from my kids. Please, I'm begging you, you hold so much power in your hands. I really don't want to go through some type of a trial, So she was basically trying to, buy Susan out, if you will, try to pay her for her silence or whatever. So Susan was in a very, weird position here. Susan was in a position here where, okay, take this woman to court, I guess small claims or whatever, or maybe, take a form of a settlement and, just kind of leave the rest alone. And at the time, Susan was pretty adamant that, this person had took a life and caused this, major catastrophe of an accident, because a lot of the cars were pretty messed up and all that. And ultimately, Susan decided that she wanted to go with a settlement. She decided for the payout because honestly, she felt sorry for the woman. This woman was a single parent. She did not want to put that woman through, really the kids. She didn't want to put those kids through. She just didn't. And so as a result of that, because everybody else, they decided, nah, we don't have anything to do. No. We just want our cars repaired. Like, no, that's it. No, we're not interested in suing. No. We're just trying to get to where we need to go. Blah, 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 blah. So without Susan, basically in that testimony and try to really, it was like everything else collapse when it's all said and done. So keeping that in the back of your mind and just, of course, that's just one example of somebody settling, right? That's just one example. But that's why Heidi Dole essentially did what she did. She did not want to, and that's the thing that you need to remember whenever you hear something about, well, this person had settled, and yeah, you could definitely look at it as a form of guilt, but you also got to factor in that, you just don't know what's going on in that person's life that group of people's lives that are entering the lawsuit and why the conditions, the terms, unless everything is fully just, hey, full transparency, here's the reason why, we ultimately had settled. Another good example, and this one isn't long-winded. Remember the Ghostbusters song? Remember how you had the whole back and forth there with Huey Lewis in the news, and who is it? Ray Lewis? I can't think of the black guy that was singing the Ghostbusters song, but basically there was like this lawsuit thing that was going on. No, Ray Parker. And to this very day, whenever Huey Lewis is interviewed about that whole lawsuit, that's the one thing. I've seen him do many interviews over the years. Big Huey Lewis fan. I've seen him do many interviews over the years. Whenever that question is brought up, that is the one question he dodges. He will barely acknowledge that it was settled out of court. But whenever somebody does ask him about it, he's very quick to say, can't talk about that. That was settled out of court. So Dreamer should have, really done. And that's the thing. When they do these Dark Side of the Ring episodes, they don't show. Look, not for nothing. I've interviewed the guys from Dark Side of the Ring a couple of times. Okay. Had some nice, interesting conversations off the air before you're actually recording the interview and all that. And, it's not like these guys, okay, they don't typically, okay, we want to show you what this person said. Very seldom will you get that. Very seldom will you get that. There have been some episodes of Dark Side of the Ring where the producers have shown somebody, hey, this is what they had said. They'll show them like a little tablet or whatever, and, they'll react to that. But in most cases, they don't do that. They do not show. And you just can't help but wonder, had Tommy Dreamer saw actual footage of Mrs. Doyle, if his reaction still would have been the same or if it would have been completely different. We just will never know. The other thing that you have to point out too, you want to talk about somebody looking vilified. Dreamer definitely looked very much like a huge ass, like a huge heel here in this episode. I know many people are going, what's going on with the B-roll? Well, any B-roll footage, what's the proper context? What was the proper build-up to get us to that point of where Dreamer was? Because at the end of the day, these guys are able to essentially be in the chopping block, and they can pretty much pick and choose. Okay, let's combine this with this. Let's put this with this, and pretty much go from there, right? Not for nothing, Jim Cornette had interviewed one of the producers for Dark Side. And I was quite surprised, when it was released, and I was hoping to learn a little bit something new here. But, it seemed that the little bit of rope that Cornette tried to give to Evan Husney is one of the producers for Darkseid. It seemed that the little bit of rope that he tried to give to Evan, I'm just calling it how I'm seeing it. I'm not bashing. It's just my honest takeaway. but it just felt like Evan was essentially dodging. He was dodging, he was deflecting by, going around and trying to answer a different way. And Jim just kind of taking the cue, not really going in there, probing more. And yeah, but again, in regards to the question I just asked you and doubling down, and look, you kind of understand it to a degree because Corny, he likes these guys. He respects these guys. We see how much of a institution he is on a lot of these episodes. So of course, to a degree, Corny isn't gonna rock the boat there too much, right? So you kind of look at that and go, okay, it is what it is. I promise you guys, and I'm not just saying it, if that would have been me, if that would have been anybody else who I highly respect in the podcasting world that truly, no, we need to get to the heart of the matter here, we would not have left that stone unturned. But you just can't help but think about that beef footage, because that's the one thing that I've learned a lot since I have been in college these past several months, majoring in broadcast media, is any form of media. Anybody that works in media, if there is a certain outlook they want you to have, if there's a certain perception that they want you to have, there is a way that narrative can be spun. The number one agenda is to go in there and try to present the news and information that you get as unbiased and neutral as possible. But you also have those that believe in the sensationalism, right? And you look at how that Dreamer setup was presented, you could definitely make an argument that there was a lot of sensationalism that was put in there, right? You could definitely make that argument. No doubt, backlash from that, Impact Wrestling deciding that Tommy Dreamer suspended indefinitely. They pretty much sent his ass home right there on the spot. Hey, we don't want nothing to do with you right now. Your comments on that Dark Side episode doesn't align with our core values. We don't want nothing to do with you right now. Poof, be gone. Ed Nordholm, who pretty much owns Impact Wrestling, pretty much put a memo out there to all Impact management and personnel about Dreamer. Dreamer has been back with Impact Wrestling this go round since 2018. He's been involved with them from a backstage production capacity, and from time to time he's been helping now as an in-ring performer. Dreamer's job on the little Sirius XM show there, the Busted Open joint, Dave LaGreca, as far as he's concerned, Dreamer's out. He doesn't know for how long. He doesn't know if Dreamer will ever be brought back on the show. He just knows that as it stands right now, as far as he's concerned, Dreamer's fucked up. Dreamer fucked up big time. And I like what LaGreca had put out there as far as, being a husband, being a father, particularly being a father to a daughter that, has, I think she just turned 18. She wrapped up high school. She's on her way to college, and she's trying to find her identity, make her mark in the world and everything. And, he really had found, and I think anybody would. And it doesn't matter is it true? Yes, that in this day and age, some of the stuff that's being put out there is overkill. When I say overkill, this era that we're in, some people call it the SJW era and all that other stuff, that things are more heightened. I do believe that to a certain degree, but I don't think it really matters what era we're talking about. I don't think it really matters what decade we're talking about. What's wrong is wrong, hands down. Hands down. Even if it was a case where you could say to me, oh, but in the 90s, it was all about sensationalism. It was all about shock. It was all about awe. You still, even way back then, had found a decent amount of people that were like, ooh, yeah, that's too much for me. That's wrong. No, I'm not interested in that. Fuck that. No mas. No, thank you. Now, can I tell you this Tommy Dreamer story? By the way, if you guys been enjoying the show so far, I appreciate you. especially you made it up to this point, you haven't done so already, hit that like button. Big, powerful superpower that you guys have when you hit that like button, especially via YouTube. When you hit that like button, you pretty much help put more eyeballs on the product. Do that. Appreciate that in advance. Let me share with you guys a Tommy Dreamer story here. And then, pretty much I'll put a nice, pretty little ribbon around all of this, the Dreamer and the Ric Flair stuff. And we'll pretty much go on with the show here, right? But let me share with you guys a Tommy Dreamer story. And this is a real story. So, a once friend of mine, many years ago, she was very serious about getting into the WWE. She was very serious about getting into it. And she always made it be her business to get in contact with the right people. And there was just a boatload of people in the wrestling business before they even really broke out into major stars. She was already very friendly with and everything. She was friends with Dave Bautista way before he even broke out big in the WWE. She was friends with Jerry the King Lawler. There was a decent amount of people that she was friends with, and she would send them little photos and little videos of how she looked, what she could do and all that. And she was always encouraged, yeah, you got a great, phenomenal look. You definitely would do pretty damn big in the wrestling business. This girl loved to work out. She loved to work out. I mean, and I remember back in the day, when we both were in our late teens going into our early 20s, we loved working out together particularly. And at one point we had thought it'd be a really cool idea if we both became trainers, had our own little company, and we could basically be fitness trainers for the celebs. That at one point we were talking about. And man, when it came to bench pressing and curls, and she was beast. She was beast. Her idol was China. Before all the fucked up shit went down with China, her idol was China. So the way that she went about working out, eating, all of that, and she definitely was on her way as far as being built like China. She was on her way. She was pretty damn close. I would say she was a crossbreed between China before the facial construction surgery and all of that, and Beth Phoenix in her early years, way before she got with Edge and had the kids, all of that. She was like build wise, I'm just trying to put in you all's head. She was like a crossbreed between those two builds. So when the very first 2 seasons of Tough Enough came about, definitely the first one I really want to home in on. She wanted to jump on it. And they were doing it, what was it? I think it was in New York or whatever. And it's been so long, my memory's a little fuzzy now. You get older, it happens. But I remember she really wanted to get the ball rolling on her wrestling career. She wanted to take it to that next level and everything. So I remember myself, her boyfriend at the time, that's now her husband, and I think her half brother. We all had spent like an entire weekend filming different stuff of her working out. We even were volunteering to be her victims, that she could, put some wrestling holds on, things of that nature. We were trying to come up with crazy ass shit that could really show off not only her personality, but could also show off, her, hey, look at these cool, unique abilities that she has. Hey, look, this is why she stands out and why she should be given an opportunity. We with my experience in photography, we took some really nice pictures of her. We got a nice little kit that was ready to go. And back then when it came to that respect, it Tough Enough, way before the whole social media thing really exploded and it was all about, oh, just send an email with the pic and the video or, blah, blah, blah. Nah, back then, you still, if you were trying to get the attention of a lot of these wrestling promotions, and not for nothing, even in today's day and age with all the technology that's running around, social media and all that, you still have wrestlers that go old school like this. But back then, she said, okay, let's put together this little nice VHS tape. And I remember we filmed all this stuff. And somehow we got everything transferred to a VHS tape. And we pretty much mailed it off and everything. Contact information, all of that. So she gets a call up for Tough Enough, for a Tough Enough audition as far as the first season goes. So the way that they had it set up, it wasn't an automatic, you're in Tough Enough. There was basically a pre, what's the best way I guess I'll say maybe a pre-screening is the best way I can kind of sum this up. It's kind of like a pre-screening / audition, and one of the judges that was there was Tommy Dreamer. And Dreamer, this is what she told me, and she has never changed her story on this. I'm just telling you what she said and how she came off about everything. I can't remember who the other judges were, but it was somewhere between maybe 3 to 5 judges back then. Again, we're talking about a long time ago. We're talking about almost 20 years ago, okay? So, but it was somewhere between 3 to 5 judges, but Tommy Dreamer was one of those judges. Everybody liked her. They loved her look, everything. When it came to Dreamer, and Dreamer actually had some one-on-one in public, but when he had some as well as the other judges, but when it came to Dreamer specifically, she felt that Dreamer was making unwarranted advances towards her, that she really, wasn't down for, and it made her feel, honestly, a bit uncomfortable. Right down to the point, her head was kind of out of the game just a little bit. So, most of the judges, they liked her. They wanted her to continue on. But I think it was kind of one of those, it had to be unanimous or something like that. And Dreamer just pretty much, from the way she felt, Dreamer, since he pretty much wasn't having his way, Dreamer pretty much decided, nah, it's a no for me. So she wasn't able to get in on Tough Enough. Now, I remember her just saying, fuck Tommy Dreamer, that piece of shit, all that good stuff. And I remember when me, her boyfriend / now husband, when she told us this at the time, we were like, are you serious? And she was like, no, yeah, it really, it's okay, that doesn't make any sense. What the fuck? So, crushing blow. It was a crushing blow. She tried Tough Enough again. She tried to go for season 2. When it came to season 2, they told her that her look wasn't what they were looking for. Now, think about that for a second. So, when it came to pretty much season 1, it's, hey, you got a great look, we like you, but of course, the Dreamer effect. But then when it came to this second season, she's essentially been told, nah, you don't have, you're too muscular, come back, slim down a little bit first, and then, maybe come on back then and, pretty much go from there. So she was pretty heartbroken by that when they pretty much shot her down that second go round. There was a lining at the end of the rainbow, however. WWE did reach out to her long after they had, got their cast together for the second season of Tough Enough, and they actually gave her a developmental deal. They wanted her to go down to OVW back when it was under Danny Davis still, way before Al Snow was in the picture. And, they were going to pay for her, training and all of that. But, of course, she would have been responsible for, relocating, trying to find a new residence and all that. And she just was not committed to doing that. I honestly, I think in retrospect, I don't think she really thought that far out. And if she did, she probably said to herself, just how exactly am I supposed to make it on my own in this whole new state? No friends, no connections. What the fuck? But yeah, that was her experience in regards to Dreamer. So I remember when I had said this initially, I was participating in one of my friends' little community chats when they were live doing their show. And when I gave just the bullet points in the chat, a lot of people were reacting to it. They were like, wow, that is so fucked up. Like, no bullshit, Lee? I'm like, no bullshit. And, a lot of people were just like, wow, right? So, look, not for nothing, but if you were really shocked, if you were really surprised by some of the things that Dreamer had said there on Dark Side of the Ring, now that you've heard that story there, of what I just shared with you, hopefully that kind of, now that at least put that out there, I don't know, dog, there might be some type of a pattern here. I don't know, but two black guys there. Now, new development, Ric Flair has put out a statement, and he really should have listened to his lawyer, to his wife, to his publicist, and he really should have not put this statement out there. This is new. This actually came out sometime early on Monday that he put this statement out, and I want to read it to you guys here. See, it'd be very easy for me to just react in real time when the shit goes down. I like having the most complete picture as possible when talking about important stuff like this, because it's very important, I think, to have the complete picture. Here's what Ric Flair had said earlier, late Monday. Every person that I've worked with has said not to post a response, but I've never run from past behaviors before, and I'm not going to start now. I want to clarify a few things. About 4 years ago, I gave ESPN full access to my life for a 30 for 30 special. They covered taxes, financial issues, adultery, divorces, the passing of my child, and drinking, partying at length. Rory Kampf, desperate to matter for another 15 minutes, did an interview about it this morning. When Rory's lips are moving, he's typically lying. But one part of what he said was the God's honest truth. And I quote, I never heard that he had forced someone to touch his genitals, Karp admitted. Everything with Rick that was construed as negative, I tried to address in the 30 for 30. His drinking, his philandering, his adultery, his money problems, that's quite a bit, but never, at least in the people that I spoke to, no one ever brought up that he would force himself on somebody. I allowed my personal life and the lives of my wife and... Okay, so this is Ric Flair now commenting. Okay, so that ends the quote right there. Now, here's Ric Flair following up. I allowed my personal life and the lives of my wife and children to be turned upside down for one reason, whether it's good or bad, even the really bad, the truth has to matter even in wrestling. My issues have been well documented over my 40-plus year career. The impact of drinking, too, which nearly killed me 5 years ago, has been told time and time and time again. The reason Rory, or anyone else for that matter, never heard stories of me forcing myself on anyone is simple. It never happened. Well, here's how we just dismiss that lengthy statement that Flair put out there and just pretty much say, yeah, anyway, here's the thing. Rory never interviewed Heidi Lloyd. He never interviewed the victim that's in question here that had got assaulted on this airplane. Heidi Dole. I apologize. I think I called her something else. I know I said Heidi. I think I messed the last name up. So apologies to Mrs. Doyle. This dude never interviewed Heidi Dole. I mean, let's be 100% here. You never even, because you were trying to paint Ric Flair in a certain light when it comes to that 30 for 30 special. There was a certain narrative that you wanted to. Of course, that would be no different than saying, I've never heard of anybody that said O.J. Simpson was a killer. I've never heard of anybody that ever said O.J. Simpson laid a hand on anybody that he dated. I think it's very important to stress that. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of O.J. having such a bad temperament. And meanwhile, you did not even try to interview anybody of the Nicole Brown family. You never tried to interview anybody of the Goldstein family. So you just totally fucking dismissed yourself altogether. Now, look, it'd be one thing if you said, hey, I tried to go in here and I tried to get in interviews with XYZ, but they declined. Okay, well, then you slide it in the little special. You slide it into the special. And say, hey, we asked these people for a comment and it's like, if you're going to be this open of a book and you pretty much are able to see how the production process is going, it's very easy to, hey, can I make a suggestion while we're telling this story of mine? We need to get in touch with, because we've got this one blemish that's on my record here. And, furthermore, you look at what Ric Flair had said to Renee Paquette, on her podcast, Oral Sessions. Oh, God, Ric Flair, Oral Sessions. Lord have mercy. You get his comments about hearing of this upcoming Dark Side episode. God, I've heard about that too. These are his exact words. God, I've heard about that too. Just when things are going good for me. Listen, Renee, put me on your podcast after. We'll see how it plays out, because I was there and I don't care whose name I gotta drop if the heat falls on me. I know who was there or who was where and what and who and what took place. I know the whole story. Well, fucking A, why not go into the fucking joint ahead of it? Why wait until... Why not get... You could have done it with the 30 for 30. You could have done it the multiple times that WWE decided they wanted to do a story about you on, right? Here's something else to think about. A big misconception that's running around there. Everybody's like, oh, the WWE little cartoon episode with Ric Flair... that plane ride, it's been pulled. It's been pulled from Peacock. Yes, the episode in question has been pulled, but that was not covering that respected plane ride. This was another isolated story time that had involved Ric Flair. It was not about that specific plane ride that was featured on Dark Side. It was not. So really want to make sure we get that, because I know a lot of people like, no. And, they probably aren't going to be bringing that back. They probably, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them whatsoever. But two major black guys there. I don't think Dreamer will be quite the same after this. If you're Tony Khan, the ideas that you had about potentially bringing in Ric Flair to AEW, I would imagine that is on a indefinite pause for now. I would imagine that, and I'm very curious what Billy Corgan has to say. I'm very curious. Next time, shout out to those of you that like doing the interviews and all that. Ask Billy Corgan this question. Hey, Billy, did you forget about the stuff there with Heidi Dole? When it came to inviting him to NWA 73, were you even aware of that? We know you're kind of busy with your musical career and all of that, or was it a case where you felt he was a changed man? What's going on there? Okay, well, as far as the future goes, do you see yourself being involved with Ric Flair in some business capacity going forward? What say you? I'm very curious. But make no mistake about it. And we're gonna end it and go into the talk about WWE Raw and some other stuff. But make no mistake about it. Most of these motherfuckers knew. Most of these motherfuckers knew. They just turned a blind eye. You know why? He's Ric Flair. He's fucking Ric Flair. The name fucking sells. You want to put eyeballs on your product? Ric Flair will help put eyeballs on your product. You don't think that car shield, ahead of fucking time, you don't think they did? Come on. Nah, we're not going to go with that. What a lot of these motherfuckers did, quite honestly, they just turned a blind eye. Let's call it for what it's worth. A lot of these motherfuckers just turned a blind eye and just, we got to do business with, we got to. Yeah. Crazy. That's all I got to say about that. I'm very curious, for those of you that have watched the Dark Side episode, you agree with a lot of these points that I have brought up, you disagree, definitely comment, especially those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and the downloads. Feel free to sound off. Let me know what you guys had thought. I'm most curious. So, hey, before we go any further into the show, on a serious tip, I want to send nothing but thoughts, prayers, condolences to the family, friends, colleagues of Anthony Johnson, otherwise known as AJ Johnson. Man, funny ass comedian. I loved his work, especially in the movies. Passed away at the age of 55. He passed away apparently sometime a couple of weeks ago. He actually died on September 6th, believe it or not. He passed away a couple of weeks ago. So, you hear that and you're going, whoa. And we don't know what the cause of death was? And it's been a couple of weeks now? What the hell's going on here? But I don't know what happened, y'all. I don't know what happened. First Norm Macdonald and now this, and then Omar from The Wire passed. I mean, just what a rough quarter it has been right now when you just look at the celebrities that have passed so far. But AJ Johnson, if the name doesn't sound familiar, you've definitely seen him. House Party 3, Dead Presidents, Friday. Did I already say Menace to Society? I think I've already said Menace to Society. Hoover Park, The Great White Hype, Hot Boys. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles. Phenomenal comedian. Funny as hell. I know Ice Cube had put out some words earlier tonight, and I'm paraphrasing, but he pretty much had said it's kind of sad that he's not going to be able to get that chance to work with him one more time, as Ice Cube has been going back and forth with Warner Brothers over the Friday franchise, because he's trying to do one more Friday movie, but it seems at this point what he's trying to do is buy up the rights to it and some other Ice Cube production joints, but Friday franchise being one of them. He's calling them racist and a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's just it's sad that it's gotten totally out of hand. But before all of this craziness had went down, he's had essentially a storyline script and all ready to go for the longest, for what he dubbed as Last Friday. So I guess you could say it's the final Friday movie, where he was trying to reunite everybody way before Pops John Witherspoon had passed. And just it was nice seeing his touching words that he put out there. It was nice seeing his touching words. So rest in peace once again to AJ Johnson. 55, that is young. That is young. And when you see some of the recent pictures of him, in recent years, this is a guy you still recognized him. That's the thing. It's not like, he didn't pull a Martin Lawrence and, packed on an extra 40 pounds or anything like that. If anything, he might have packed on an extra 15, but he was still a slim dude. You still recognized him. His facial hair might have been a little bit grayer, but you still recognize AJ. And yeah, 55, that is just way, way too fucking young. Way too fucking young. So, want to give some honorable mentions here to AEW Dark. Actually, no, to WWE first. WWE, they did a live event earlier today at the O2 Arena in London. These were the matches that came about. Street Profits defeated Chad Gable and Otis. Rey and Dominic Mysterio defeated Finn Balor defeated the Dirty Dogs. Street Fight, where Drew McIntyre defeated Jinder Mahal. Kevin Owens defeated Baron Corbin. There was a Intercontinental Championship match that saw Shinsuke Nakamura defeat Apollo Crews. And in the main event for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Becky Lynch defeated Bianca Belair. Again, those were the matches that came about from London earlier today at the O2 Arena. So, legendary arena. When I think about the O2 Arena, one of the first things that come into my mind is U2. I think about U2 and man, anytime they come to the O2 Arena, it's always a magical night. Always a magical night. It's a great arena. I'm waiting for the day where we can get a WrestleMania at an O2 Arena, or a major pay-per-view for that matter, at the O2 Arena. I think those fans are more than deserving of it, and hopefully within the next 5 years, we'll see something like that come about. If you're asking me for a bold prediction, I hope in the next 5 years we get that. I would love to see that. AEW Dark Elevation results. This was about an hour of a show, so I find it interesting that a lot of these matches that went about on this week's Dark Elevation, it was a minute here, maybe 2 minutes there, maybe 4 minutes there, but it was about almost an hour of an episode. Thunder Rosa defeated Kaya McKinney. The Gun Club defeated Anthony Bennett and Ray Jazz and LSG. Allen Five Angels and 10 of the Dark Order, along with John Silver and Alex Reynolds, they defeated Evil Uno and Colt Cabana. Orange Cassidy with Chuck Taylor and Chris Statlander, what was that? They defeated Mike Verna. So Orange Cassidy was the one that was in action. Private Party defeated Teddy Goods and George Santi. Sheeta defeated Masha Slamovich. Joey Janela defeated Sonny Kiss. Santana and Ortiz defeated Avery Good and JT Dunn. And Dustin Rhodes defeated QT Marshall. Those are your AEW Dark Elevation results for this week. Also, while we're talking about AEW, some new information came about in regards to Full Gear, as the location supposedly has been revealed. Looks like it's going to be taking place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and that event is going to be going down on November 13th. Originally, it was supposed to be on November 6th, but with the pandemic and all of that, we kind of touched upon this a couple of months back about the new date. So it went from November 6th to now November 13th in Missouri there. So, or correction, Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that's pretty good. So stay on top of that. WWE announced that tickets for Survivor Series at the Barclays Center is going to be going on sale this Friday. So for those of you that are thinking about maybe traveling to the New York area, you want a reason now, you kind of got that nice incentive. Remember, tickets go on sale this Friday. So check that out. Also, while we're talking AEW, making our way to talking about just the key points from tonight's WWE Raw, a major day for Owen Hart fans, for fans that want to do their part in helping keep the legacy of Owen Hart alive and well, and want to try to represent as best as humanly possible. I know there's been a lot of Owen Hart fans that would somehow love to see Owen Hart still be in some form through his family, still part of the wrestling industry. And yeah, for many years there, Martha Hart very bitter over WWE's mishandling and the ultimate passing of her husband and all that. And she vowed never, never, ever have anything to do with the WWE. And led to a couple of lawsuits there, and those had got settled and everything. But a great day had dawned upon many Owen Hart fans as AEW and the Owen Hart Foundation, they have entered into a business relationship that's going to be seeing Owen Hart's legacy continue to be honored. And I want to read to you guys the press release here. It's not that long of a press release, but in case you had missed this press release today, here's what they put out. All Elite Wrestling and the Owen Hart Foundation, a non-profit charity which provides a vast range of assistance and opportunities to individuals in need across the world, are collaborating to honor the legacy of the late Owen Hart, a beloved figure in the professional wrestling community and beyond. This collaboration includes launching the annual Owen Hart Cup tournament within AEW, which will see the winner receive a cup known as the Owen, as well as the production and distribution of unique and original Owen Hart merchandise, including specified retail goods, as well as the upcoming AEW console video game. So, I mean, that is phenomenal. I can tell you as a gamer, no matter how much time may pass in between some of the wrestling titles that I've played from WWE when it was SmackDown versus Raw, and then when it went over to 2K, going over to the created marketplace, created wrestler marketplace, and seeing the top most created wrestlers, most downloaded, most liked, always Owen Hart at the very freaking top of that list. I've seen some really, really damn scary, accurate, spot on Owen Hart skins over the years. And it's nice to see that Owen Hart is, as far as his name, his likeliness and all of that, it's nice to see that, for the first time in a very, very long time, that fans will be able to, play as him and all that. So I think that's really freaking cool. This whole cup tournament that they're doing, I need to see how this is really gonna play itself out, because hopefully, in regards to this, they're gonna kind of pull a page out of MLW. And hopefully they're going to do like the Opera Cup. Hopefully they're going to do something along those lines, because I think that would be kind of badass. I hope they do that. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to what MLW's been doing, but MLW in 2019 and in 2020, they did the Opera Cup. 2019, Davey Boy Smith Jr., he won it at the Melrose Ballroom in Queens, New York. And then last year, Tom Lawler had won it in a match against Low Key in Florida. And that was what they did. This was pretty much a revival of the Opera House Cup, which was last held like in 1948 or something along those lines. So if AEW is kind of thinking, okay, let's kind of maybe do this like the MLW Opera Cup, I think this is going to be pretty badass for wrestling fans, especially if it's a case where you're going to see some talents that, and I hope that AEW is also thinking from this standpoint where, hey, some folks that fans have been wanting to see get some TV exposure, but they've yet. Maybe we just have them kind of come through here, especially for this tournament. Make it be open to any and everybody that's out there on the free agency market. Man, that would be badass. So hopefully it's not just a case where it's just going to be designated to just everybody on the AEW roster. Hopefully it's going to expand and we're going to see people that we normally wouldn't see come through there, and who knows, maybe they'll make such a really good impression that we'll end up seeing them on a regular basis in AEW. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Khan and crew are kind of thinking along those lines, because when you take a step back and you really think about it, go back to the recent interview that Tony Khan had put out there where he talked about how they actually need, as far as he's concerned, he feels that AEW needs to sign more wrestlers on their roster, especially considering things are opening back up. We're slowly but surely starting to get the pandemic in the rearview mirror and all that. So hopefully that's how they're going about it with the tournament. And if they haven't thought about it that way, hopefully by shows like mine, and I'm sure there's other like-minded podcasts out there that are kind of thinking the way I'm thinking. Hopefully Tony Khan and crew, because they make their rounds checking out what some podcasts are saying about them and all that. And not for nothing, but there's been many times on this show we've said some very specific things as far as constructive feedback, advice to AEW, and next thing you know, it's like verbatim. It's actually happened. So hopefully they'll be thinking like that when they get ready to do this. So that's pretty badass. That's pretty badass. You can't hate that. The press release goes on to say this alliance incorporates opportunities to develop Owen Hart action figures via AEW's partnership with Jaguars. Is that how you pronounce it? Jaguars? Apparel, posters, and additional collectible merchandise. This is what fans have been wanting for so many years, just to represent, show their love, appreciation, admiration for Owen Hart. I got my Owen Hart shirt. It's rare I busted out, but I got my Owen Hart Dark Side of the Ring shirt. And now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't seen that shirt in a good while. So I know it's been washed. It's just I just gotta find it. I have a feeling it's probably in one of my drawers in the bedroom there, but it's nice that we are seeing this relationship come about here. And as you know, the Owen Hart Foundation, they provide global aid to at-risk communities, scholarship opportunities, housing, food drives, giveaways. They always do stuff around the major holidays. So I mean, and with a lot of this stuff that is going to be put out there, that it's going to be a case where it's either going to be sales or profits from, what's going to be sold here is definitely going to be going back towards the foundation and essentially be channeled out to help in all of those respected areas. So you know what? It is a win-win situation, but sadly, we live in a day and age where we've got some individuals that got to look at it as an opportunity to not celebrate, but look at it as an opportunity to bash. Take this post, for instance, and I apologize for those of you that's not able to see this, that's listening to the audio version, but take this post, for instance. You see this post right here? Look at this. I'll read this to you guys here. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about as far as the toxicity of social media sometimes. Not everything in regards to social media is bad. Not everything. But there is bad. From this one troll account, I hope Vince sues AEW for every dollar they are worth. Using Owen Hart like that is just taunting WWE. His family is sick for agreeing to this. He was a WWE guy, no matter what. Now wait, folks. There's more. Take this fan, for instance. I hope Vince sues AEW for every dollar they are worth, using Owen Hart like this is just taunting WWE. His family is sick for agreeing to this. He was a WWE guy no matter what. Now, you can't help but wonder if that is from the same guy, or is this a case where it's like copy and paste and, that sounded good. I got to use that too. But these are the type of responses, believe it or not, people. These are the type of responses that's floating around on social media since this joint statement was released. And you just can't help but shake your head and go, first of all, did these motherfuckers even watch the family on the Dark Side of the Ring episode? Because I remember when we reviewed that episode of Owen Hart, I remember being on this show, and that review was so well received by folks, even by my fellow friends in the podcasting genre. Even they had like the review that I had gave for it. Even I think the producers had reached out and appreciated the review I gave for it and everything. I remember one thing I was very passionate about, very adamant about at the end of my overall review for the episode. I said, man, how can you not, after this, understand where Martha Hart and the family are coming from and why they refuse to have anything to do with the WWE? I mean, it is just pretty much hook, line, sinker. Every single box that you're looking at, they've pretty much checked it off as far as, nope. This is why we will not do business with this company again. You can forget about it. And at the end, you just couldn't help but say, okay, even if you wish that in a perfect world, Owen Hart, in some capacity, we need to have him back in some form in the WWE Hall of Fame or whatever. And as I've always said for years, you're the WWE, just put him in posthumously. Just put him in. The family don't want to accept it. Okay, fine. That's on them. WWE can just go on without, right? But I remember even saying, even if you were like pro WWE, you just couldn't help but say at the end, well, hey, I might not like the fact that the family's not going to have anything to do with WWE, but you know what? I respect them. That's their right. I get it. And you really did not find, like I would say out of 100%, like 99.9% of folks were just, yeah, I can't dispute that. Like, yeah, I don't like it, but, but overwhelmingly everybody was like, yeah, I get it. Totally understand. But to see people out of the woodworks that were reacting to this, it's very laughable, isn't it? It's very laughable. You just can't help but just, you guys are silly. Whatever. You're silly. Anyways, right? It's like, anyways. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to do. What they're going to be able to do with the merchandise and all of that. I would imagine that if you're going to be doing this, you probably are going to incorporate Owen Hart with the Upper Deck cards too. Because remember, they just did the CM Punk joint, right? They also, just this past week, had released the Adam Cole card through Upper Deck. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to, I would imagine Owen Hart in the next couple of weeks, if it's not already in the works, like right now, like you watch AEW Dynamite this week and they make the Owen Hart Upper Deck card announcement, I would imagine in the coming weeks, you're definitely going to be hearing something about it. I'm telling you guys, if there was ever a time to collect some Owen Hart merchandise, like first run Owen Hart merchandise, this is the time. Be on top of the cards, especially the E-cards. I think the first go-around is going to be that E-card that we've been talking about off and on the past couple of weeks that you can eventually turn into a printable version, once you get the green light to order it as a physical card. Pay attention to that. The very first figure that's going to be coming out for Owen, get on top of that. I think those two alone are going to be very... for as far as a collector's item, or if maybe you want to, try to turn it around, make a quick profit, I think those are going to be the two you want to home in on the most. Look at how well the CM Punk cards had did. What was a $6 digital card, man, you're able to command anywhere between $40 to $75 on eBay for it right now. So if you're thinking about, trying to make a little quick cash, or just you're into collectibles, you're not into selling, you're just big into collectibles, I think those are the ones that you really want to home in on the most, for sure. Definitely want to home in on those the most. Shout out to Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi, for the third consecutive week in a row, has been crushing it in the box office. Numbers damn good. Of course, I'm talking about Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It continues to hold that number 1 spot at the box office. Over the weekend, they tallied in another $21.7 million. Down, a little bit over 30% from the previous weekend. But, I mean, so far, domestically, they've done about over 175 million. They've done about, that's domestically, they've done about close to 400 million worldwide. Great fucking numbers. Great fucking numbers. Meanwhile, you look at that new Clint Eastwood movie. What's the name of that? Cry Macho. Not good. They've only brought in a box office tally of barely over $4 million. And like, real quick, if you want to pick my brain and be like, what's going on? One thing that you got to understand is Clint Eastwood's movies as of late has been targeting an older audience. Okay, we're talking about people that are maybe in their late 40s and up. I really want to kind of tease the 50 and up, but I'm going to leave it at like late 40s and up. Just the tone, just the overall, what's being covered in his movies. That's really targeting an older audience. That's not exactly targeting a younger audience, right? So, and look, when you look at the pandemic, when you factor in the pandemic, the older folks are still pretty, I know, because I deal with the public when I go to work on a day-to-day basis, and I can't tell you how many times I've talked to older folks that are really skimmish about being out and about right now, even though they're fully vaccinated. They are still very, right down to the point, they still don't even feel comfortable going to the grocery store, okay? So, whereas the younger folks, especially if they've gotten their vaccination and all that, the younger folks, they're more inclined to, yeah, I'm gonna go see this. Yeah, I'm good. I'm healthy. I got my shots. I'm good. I'm still practicing smart social distancing. I'm good. They're more inclined to, and that's why it's like night and day right now with what you're seeing of the box office numbers. That's why it's night and day right now. It's kind of sad because you look at Clint Eastwood's movies, the last couple that he's put out, he's put a lot of money as far as the budget. He's put a lot of money into these movies, and to only have, but man, you can't. Is it even a fraction? Can you even call it a fraction? I mean, if you have a budget of like 50 million and you only bring in 5 million, barely, you feel me? So it looks like a good movie though. That Clint Eastwood movie, it looks like a good movie, but if you were to ask me straight up, look, unless you're a diehard Clint Eastwood fan, wait till that shit comes out in theaters. Straight up, wait till that shit comes out in theaters. Hey man, let's close out. Let's talk about WWE Raw. Yo, I said at the very top, great episode overall from top to bottom. I loved it. I know a lot of people were tripping over the whole bloodline storyline there, that the match particularly, they were focusing in on, hey, not me. These were some people on social media and in forums. People were actually complaining about the fact that they were getting to see Roman Reigns and the Usos, the bloodline, versus all 3 members of the New Day. They didn't like this. They felt that this was a case where this match was being given away on free TV and that it was better off being put on a pay-per-view. So a lot of people just were baffled at this and actually were complaining about this. Look, these are the type of people that unfortunately we kind of need to ignore them, because when it comes to just kicking back, trying to enjoy yourself, have a good time, remember, these are the same fans. Some of these fans, these are the same fans that have been complaining, oh man, Raw's been shitty. Oh, I can't stand that show. Oh, that show is fucking garbage. Blah, 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 yakety smackety. Yet when you get something good, like what we got tonight, and you hear about Bloodline New Day, it's like, oh, wow, okay, an incentive to watch Monday Night Raw. Oh, okay, cool. I will check this out. And yet we still have a decent amount of people, the same people that were complaining about how Raw sucks. You know, now it's kind of like we're nitpicking here. This was just one of those nights where you hear, wait, they're doing what? Okay, you know what? I need to watch this. I need to see what's going on here. I loved it. And plus, I knew ahead of time that there was probably going to be some type of a fuck finish. And that, you know what, not for nothing, we'll probably maybe get to see these guys down the line, actually, on a official pay-per-view or whatnot, give or take. So, Raw tonight, they were out in North Carolina. I don't know how many of you guys had caught that. I know a couple of times they had mentioned the PNC Arena, but you may have never really heard throughout the night just where they are exactly. They were in North Carolina. And as I've always been saying to you guys, North Carolina for me will always hold a special place in my heart for the rest of my life until the day I die, because North Carolina is where I got married, back in June, to my lovely wife. And the people out there, phenomenal, good-hearted, very kind people, very laid back, very slow out there. I mean, they're so slow out there. I remember when we were actually, this isn't a long-winded story, but it's just to prove a point. I remember when we were on our way out of North Carolina, we were probably driving, because here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, you don't get pulled over if you're driving 5, 10, almost 15 miles past the speed limit. You don't get pulled over out here for that. But man, we were definitely 10 miles past the speeding limit on a major highway that we were on in North Carolina, and we got pulled over. And I just, I just looked at wifey and I just said, hey, I don't know what you did, but I just know my hands are right here on the dashboard. Because I wasn't sure if we were going to get a white cop or a black cop. I'm like, I wasn't scared. It was just kind of, despite all the crap that was going on in the news, it was just kind of like, I ain't do nothing wrong. We just got married. Like, I'm chilling. And the officer that we had, not that his race mattered, but we had got a black officer. And he asked Tams, he says, is there a particular reason why you're driving so fast? Why you're driving over the speeding limit? You're driving extra 10 miles there. You 10 miles past the speeding limit there. And she apologized, and she was like, I'm so sorry. No, I was just so focused on, just trying to keep up with the traffic. And, we're actually on our way out of the area here, because we were just out here to get married. And I know for a fact he definitely had saw her wedding dress in the back, because it was still hung up in the back seat and all that. And he pretty much just, he didn't even write a ticket. He pretty much just ran her ID, did a little quick background check and just, hey, be careful, and congrats. And truly, the whole experience out there with North Carolina, if you ever go to North Carolina or you're looking for a place to go and just mellow out and just good time, good food and all that, North Carolina, that's where you want to go. So I'm sure those of you in the North Carolina area will definitely appreciate my kind words that I had to say about you there just now. Seeing the Bloodline go up against New Day as the opener, I love that. By the way, I got to pick you all's brain on something Big E related. Yo, did you all check out how Big E was pushing his attire that he was pushing tonight? If it looked familiar to you, it should have, because what he was pushing was one of my all-time favorite rap albums. All-time favorite rap albums. That shit never gets old. He was spoofing off of not only the Godfather trilogy, as far as the font, style, execution, and all that, but he was also spoofing off of Fuji's The Score album. Now that I've said that, go back, if you still got Raw on your DVR or on demand or whatever, your cloud, whatever, and go back and really look at his attire. And if you're familiar with Godfather and the Fuji Score album, you'll definitely you'll see it and you'll be like, yeah, I love that attire that he was pushing tonight. That was badass. It put a big old smile on my face, and it was so funny because over the weekend I actually was doing some research on Lauryn Hill. I was just curious what's been going on with her as far as new music. Where is her headspace at? You know, here I am all these years later. I'm still waiting for a follow-up to the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I'm still waiting. You know, I don't look at that MTV 2.0. I don't. That was a nice little experimentation, but I'm good, right? So I gave up on Fuji's. They tried. Wycliffe Jean, Praz, they tried. And it ain't happening. She's a little bit all over the place right now. It ain't happening, right? But God, it's interesting because if you would have asked me back in 2000, Lee, who do you think? Actually, no. If you would have asked me around, I would say 2007, Lee, who do you think is gonna come out with a new album first? D'Angelo? You think D'Angelo's gonna follow up, or Lauryn Hill? I would have said Lauryn Hill. And the fact that it has taken this long for Lauryn Hill, I mean, that's great that you hear little new music, here and there. But for those of you that's on top of your rap game, what was the joint where to date, as far as any true, okay, here's a sample of things to come for Lauryn Hill. There's something that she was involved with that was covering the life of Nina Simone. And she contributed six original songs or something like that. Originally, it was supposed to be 3. Then it expanded to 6. That's as close as we've come so far to, really good, comprehensive, well-rounded, soundful, mindful, great music that we've gotten of Lauryn Hill. But yeah, I just thought it was badass that Biggie's attire was kind of paying homage to those two things. I love that. That was badass. The match ending the way that it did, which was basically, this was very questionable too. This was very questionable because this was a traditional tag match. You never heard anything about the only way victory can be achieved in this tag match is through pinfall or submission. You never heard that, as opposed to the main event match that we got for tonight. You never heard that in this opening tag match. I stress that because we see Bobby Lashley come out and he's just wrecking havoc on members of the New Day. And you would have thought that the referee would have just called for the bell and that would have been the end of it. But the ref just continues to stand there. I was just baffled at that. I was just scratching my head going, why is this match still continuing because of this interference that we got going on here? What the fuck? I didn't understand it. I did not understand it. To see Roman Reigns pretty much get the victory for the Bloodline by connecting with the spear on Woods to pick up the W at about the 13-14 minute mark. Look, even if the match was, I've got no problem with the match layout. Let me just really make sure I'm going on record here. I don't have a problem with the match layout. Just the Bobby Lashley stuff, that was just very questionable. I think you should have just ended it on a DQ. especially with a matchup like this that a lot of people wanted to see. And like I said just a few minutes ago, I knew there was going to be some type of a fuck finish to this matchup. But man, if you would have told me, yeah, we're going to get a fuck finish, but there's going to be a lot of stuff going on here where the referee isn't going to call for the bell. Yeah, they were kind of sleeping on this one for me. That's how I personally felt. But it was good. Post match, Lashley spearing the hell out of Roman Reigns, a pissed off Lashley that feels, yo, he was wrong by what went down last week. I love seeing Lashley find his way to Sonya Deville and them and telling them, look, what went down last week, that was a bunch of bull. I'm the true, real WWE World Champion. You put me in a match against Roman Reigns, I'd own his ass. You put me in a match against Big E, I definitely would own his ass. So I love seeing all of that go down. And then a little bit, of a while afterwards, Big E going to Sonya Deville and them saying how he wants a match with both of those guys. And then pretty much that was setting up our main event match for the evening. Pretty good. And that was actually a pretty good main event match too. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. Eva Marie taking on Doudrop once again. You know, that was kind of another one of those, kind of rinse repeat kind of matches. I just kind of looked at that, shook my head, and said, yeah, all right, it is what it is. Doudrop picking up another dub. Yeah, just, can we just be done with this? I mean, we got Doudrop that said post-match the Evolution is dead. I hope that's really the case, because we kind of heard this before already. So, if you're thinking about the draft, you can't help but say, all right, well, we've kind of done a nice little job building up Doudrop here. Now it's time that we really pull these girls apart. Yeah, kind of makes all the sense in the world. By the way, I know the draft is going to be coming up. What's that? October 1st? Let me look at the calendar again. I believe it's going to be coming up October 1st on SmackDown, and then it'll conclude or continue on Monday's October 4th, Monday Night Raw. What we're going to do is not this week, but definitely next Monday. Mark it down on your calendars. Next Monday, September 27th, we will definitely do a mock draft. And that should be fun. I always look forward to doing the mock draft show. So check that out. That's going to be loads fun. AJ Styles taking on Randy Orton. That actually was a instant classic matchup. I actually enjoyed that one. Those two guys, I gotta say they really stepped up the game tonight with their match. I love seeing Omos get ejected from the referee when he felt that Omos was up to no good. And you've got Riddle that's just standing there, and he's kind of teasing him, doing the whole bye-bye. And how does Omos react to this? He just pretty much slugs the hell out of Riddle and just pretty much storms off. I love that. It was like a big old bully that was just mad because he wasn't able to continue to have it his way. I love that. Great chemistry between Randy Orton and AJ Styles. And it's kind of interesting because when you really stop and think about it, it's been very rare that we've seen AJ and Orton lock it up since AJ's been in the WWE. So to get us a special night like this where the two of them, their paths have crossed, and they're going after each other here. This was great storytelling at its finest. And I love how AJ, towards the end of the match, AJ was getting ready to do the phenomenal forearm. And then Randy Orton, sensing it was coming, was looking for his RKO, but they both psyched each other out, and they pretty much did the infamous Spider-Man point, like, you! That was badass. I love that. And yet somehow AJ just, okay, I'm still going to get you. He was trying to look for something off the ropes or whatever. I don't know what he was trying to look for, but Randy Orton pretty much gets him in between the ropes, looks for that trademark DDT, and then from there, just pretty much wham, hits him with the RKO. Great matchup. Two extremely talented veteran wrestlers that really kept you tuned in, really kept you glued to the TV set, and fans were eating this up. The fans you were able to hear in attendance, they were eating it. They were loving it, and rightfully so. This was great quality of a match. Dare I say, almost pay-per-view quality of a match. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler. Nia Jax passing out to Shayna Baszler as she put in a nice little neck chokehold. I mean, this was short and sweet. It was ugly, not in a bad way, like, oh, this was sloppy, nothing like that. But it was short. It was about under a 3 minute of a matchup, and Shayna Baszler pretty much getting the best out of it. I gotta tell you, to go with the type of finish that they did here, I did not see this coming, especially with the recent way they've been building up Nia Jax in the past couple of weeks. It almost felt as if they were trying to get back to retro Nia Jax, that unstoppable, that baddest bitch that is just steamrolling through all the competition. It's kind of interesting how they were building her up and everything, but then also on the flip side of that, you look at the way that they were building up Shayna and everything. But yet we go into this matchup and we get Nia Jax just passing out to Shayna. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Post match is where things really got interesting, as Shayna Baszler, I mean, she just pretty much went Nancy Kerrigan. Let's be honest. Hopefully you guys, and I see the age demographics, you know who Nancy Kerrigan is, but essentially Shayna Baszler went Tanya Harding on Nia Jax. Nia Jax essentially being the Nancy Kerrigan. I mean, that's essentially what went down here, as post match Shayna put Jax's hand in between steel steps, doing a running stomp on them. Jax just really doing a phenomenal job, screaming, and then I love Shayna coming off so conflicted, so hurt, like, I don't want to do this, but I know as far as marking my territory, being that top dog, being that cold, heartless, relentless bitch, I know I have to do this, especially if I want to get back in stride again. I've got to set an example. And you can make an argument she didn't have to go this route, but man, just to see Shayna Baszler just sell that conflicted range of emotions there, I loved it. And then to see Shayna basically put Nia Jax's arm, pretty much between the steel steps yet again here, this time in a somewhat different position, and Nia begging Shayna. I mean, this was really, really awesome, because this was, when you really take a step back and you think about it, this is like the first time in the career of Nia Jax that we've seen since she's been on main WWE programming, that we've seen her in this position where she's so beaten down and she's literally begging. She is begging to stop. She's begging a person, no, please, you don't have to do this. Why are you doing this? Right? The way she sold that emotion tonight, oh, I loved it. Great fucking storytelling. Shayna still feeling very conflicted, and then just stomps on that arm anyway, and Nia Jax just screaming as high pitched as possible. It didn't come off over dramatic. It didn't come off fake as fuck. I mean, you really felt like, oh shit, somebody got hurt here. Somebody legit got injured. Great visual, great overall presentation. Loved it. Didn't quite care for the match as far as the finish, because a lot of us didn't see that finish coming. But post match and the nice pretty little ribbon that was put around what's been going on with these girls the past couple of weeks. Magnifico. Good shit right there. Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo teamed up to take on the team of Mansoor and Mustafa Ali. Not bad. If I remember it right, I think the Garza and Carrillo had one. I kind of was going a little bit in and out of the room at this point, but the little bit that I saw, you know what, I was okay. I was okay with it. The team of Garza and Carrillo, I need to see more of them, but they're growing on me. I'm starting to get used to Mansoor and Ali, but this was kind of refreshing to see. Now I know Garza and Carrillo, they've teamed up. I think maybe on Main Event, maybe on 205. So you guys got to forgive me as I don't really watch those shows, but from what I had saw of them tonight, it's actually pretty good. I got to give them props on that one. We got new tag team champions as Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash defeated Tamina and Natty to become the new women's tag champions. Look, first of all, what did you think was going to happen? When it's all said and done, this was Tamina and Natty's first time in like maybe 4 months, essentially, defending the tag titles. So just stop and think about that. This was Natty and Tamina's first time in about 4 months defending the tag titles. Yeah. So, for me, and look, not for nothing, but just in case there are some of you out there and you're kind of like, wait a minute, Lee, surely that's wrong. Surely they defended the titles a couple of other times way before that. Surely you got that wrong, dog, because I'm not buying that. Well, I'll tell you what, let's look at the match history right now. I'm looking at the match history right now. Hang on. No, September 6th on Monday Night Raw, there was a contenders matchup. And then before that, there was another contenders matchup going back to July 26th. No, the last time these girls had, so maybe not quite 4 months. Not quite 4 months. From what I'm seeing here, oh, well, see, this is where you kind of have to get technical. Are we going to include the super shows? Are we going to include the house shows? Because if we're going to include the house shows and you want to get technical, the last time that the tag titles were defended was July 25th at a WWE live house show. If you're not going to include that, then this is where it gets really, really interesting because, yeah, you pretty much got to go as far back as May 14th when the title change initially. So, yes, it's actually been, believe it or not, it's actually been about 4 months. And we've got new tag team champions. Look, I think sadly Tamina and Natty ran its course when it's all said and done. I know a lot of fans, including myself, were really happy for Tamina because we really felt that, hey, give us a healthy Tamina. Tamina has shown us so many bright spots in her career, and it seems that the injury bug has always gotten the best of her. But if we can just kind of get her in that, that good, healthy physical state of mind there, man, yeah, she'd be pretty good. And, it's kind of like we finally got that dessert. And it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. It was kind of like one of those type of things. So I think sadly that had ran its course, but ultimately not at the fault of the girls. Not at their fault. Even when Natty kind of had that little health scare a while back, even before all of that, they it seemed like the fire never really was right. It's like, okay, they got it, and now they're just deep somewhere in the subconscious. Just we're not even thinking about them. So the fact that we've got Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley as the new tag champions. It's like, but did anybody else cringe when those girls were out there and they were shelling the hell out of Connor's Cure? I gotta say, that was probably the one moment where I literally felt myself cringe and I grinded my teeth and I just put the TV on mute. Because when I heard them out there shelling out the Connor's Cure, and then normally when I put my TV on mute, I've got closed captioning on. So to then look up as I'm just on my tablet, just playing a game, and I'm looking up and to see that they were going to dedicate their match to the children, I'm going, fuck, this is going to be a title change. And sure enough, a title change. It's so interesting when I think about this because you get the whole, you deserve it, with Tamina becoming the tag champion and all that. And but you look at this moment where we got new tag champions, and it's so interesting because to hear Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley just pretty much, and Rhea just looked really uncomfortable. Did she not? Let me know. She looked really uncomfortable though. She did not look like, I don't want to be saying this. This really isn't me. This really isn't my personality. I'm just kind of go. She really seemed very uncomfortable. It felt very forced. I think is a nice roundabout way that you can really go about it and everything. I just couldn't help but just shake my head and then, wow, we're going this route to try to get some type of momentum under them, huh? And you see the crowd, the crowd doesn't want to boo. They were pretty much lackluster to these girls when they first came out. And then once they start talking about Connor's Cure, they don't really want to boo them. But they kind of really aren't their favorites either. Right down to the point, when you see them win the tag titles, it wasn't really oh joy. Yeah, a couple of claps here and there, but yeah, this is one of those type of things. The Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss segment, I enjoyed that. I gotta tell you, I know I've been pretty hard on the Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair segments the past couple of weeks because I've just honestly felt as though the Alexa Bliss stuff, it's run its course and all that. But I gotta tell you, these girls, my hat's off to them. They really took it to another level on this week's Raw. I gotta give it up to them. I was expecting the same hokey dokey bullshit that we have been getting these past couple of weeks, and I just loved how Charlotte Flair was going right after Alexa Bliss, saying, I want the Alexa Bliss that was a kick-ass bitch. I don't want the Alexa Bliss that's just playing with dolls. Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, while you were winning championships on one show, I was winning championships on another show. We never crossed paths, and then, somehow, we end up not facing each other. We're on opposite shows, and it's pretty much rinse repeat. Now we're here. I'm doing my shit. And you're here. You're not even getting championships. You're here playing with dolls. What the hell? Take the dolls away from you, and what the hell you got? I love that. Bliss coming right back. Take away your championships. And what the hell are you? What are you exactly without being a women's champion? Take all that away from you, and what are you? And Charlotte just going with the whole woo. Bliss right on top of that saying, that's not even yours. That's not even original. Charlotte snapping right back and saying, honey, let's not even go there about original. I ate that whole shit up. That was just, that's good. That's damn good. I loved all of that. Their nice little back and forth, and then the ultimate brawl that they had there. All that was good. Love that. And think these girls are going to be going at it this Sunday at Extreme Rules. So nice tone that they really had set. It really made you feel truly invested for the first time. And I want to see how this match is going to play out now. Let's see how this comes about. Jeff Hardy defeating Sheamus. As a result of this, if I remember it right, Hardy now goes into Extreme Rules for a shot at Damian Priest's U.S. title there. So, nice little matchup. Hardy being added to Sunday's pay-per-view, I think it's a good move. We've already done the Sheamus Priest, honestly. So to get this new kind of a fresh matchup and to kind of, help in the continuation building of Damian Priest there, I'm okay with that. And look, you think Extreme Rules, Jeff Hardy, Team Extreme, let's go crazy, let's get nuts. So I would imagine there'll be some nice little cool stuff that's going to go down there with Jeff Hardy and all that. So I'm down with this. Fresh little matchup. I'm down. I'm down with that. Main event match, Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns versus Big E. This was a non-title matchup. Worked very well. This worked very well. Excellent formula that they had in executing this triple threat match when it's all said and done. I love this. I love this. It was nice and hard hitting. And remember, this match, the way it was set up, pinfall or submission was the only way a W could be secured. So to see at one point Bobby Lashley grabbing a steel chair and he's just pretty much going belligerent, you're quick to remind yourself, well, remember, pinfall or submission, this is the only way that the match can be won. You're looking at this and you're going, man, this can go either way. How exactly is this going to go down here? Roman Reigns picking up the dub. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this because Reigns winning over by pinning Lashley, while at the same time Big E is essentially protected as the new WWE champion. I thought it was smart booking. I don't know how you guys felt, but I thought it was smart booking because that would have not set the right tone. I personally felt, right? So to let it be a case where if anybody's going to eat the pin, it's going to be, and I love the fact that it was with a pin. I love the fact that we didn't see Lashley tap out or some other weird, stupid, hokey dokey bullshit that was going on. I love the fact that it went out the way it went out that it did there. Roman Reigns essentially picking up the dub, by essentially doing the spear there to Lashley. But, it's kind of one of those, the way they had the triple threat match set up, it was kind of one of those deals where just when you think, okay, he's done enough damage to this guy, now he's going in for the cover, 1, 2, other guy interferes, okay, the match is continuing on, and it was kind of like a rinse repeat type of deal that was going on. Also love the fact that all three guys were pretty much involved in each other. Yeah, everybody's hitting each other. It wasn't just, okay, this person's fighting this person while this person's sitting out. One of those type of deals. So I love the way that this was laid out. I can't remember the last time I was, from top to bottom, I can't remember the last time I was this invested in an episode of Monday Night Raw where, this was actually pretty good, right? Where I was legit, this is actually a pretty good episode. Just thinking of some other stuff in regards to Raw tonight. Seeing the destruction of Nia Jax, if you would even want to say it was the destruction, right? It really made you say to yourself, okay, especially with the draft coming up, you just can't help but wonder to yourself, is this it? Like, have we seen the ultimate last of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler? Is this going to end in such a way where sadly Nia is not going to be able to extract some type of revenge on Shayna Baszler? Because with an injury like that, what was played out tonight, you would assume that Nia Jax is going to be off TV for a couple of weeks to really sell this. You would assume that, right? So, kind of keeping that in mind, you just can't help but look at what was done to Nia tonight and say to yourself, so does this mean that when Nia Jax does resurface, Nia is pretty much going to be a babyface? And I kind of get the feeling as though what was really established tonight, Shayna is going back to being the baddest bitch. You know, that bitch, that bad bitch that we remember in NXT, that badass woman. Whereas Nia Jax is going to, come out of this, looking at what went down with her tonight. If you're a fan, it's interesting because where do you go here with Nia Jax? You obviously kind of feel as though Nia Jax is going the face route here, but are you really sympathetic towards Nia Jax, considering all the fucked up shit that she's done, that character has done in storyline over the past several months? Are you really being sympathetic, or are you, yeah, that woman's finally getting what's coming to her? It's kind of one of those type of, but I really think WWE, what they were trying to do right here is really set the tone in having Nia go that face route. So I really felt that the tone they did here tonight, good stuff. Low point of Raw, honestly, didn't care for the Reggie stuff. You notice how we just kind of bypassed that whole thing. I'm not even gonna go there. I know some people may look at the former Raw champion and Bobby Lashley, essentially losing to an outsider and Roman Reigns was pretty much a guest on Raw. I'm not going to really buy too much stock into it. I'm not going to really be heavily invested into it and everything. I'm still totally fine with the way everything had played out, all things considered. Um, Big E doing his thing there with Roman. I definitely want to see at a later date what can happen right here when these two guys lock up. So, I mean, if you're keeping tabs, Roman Reigns essentially picked up 2 victories tonight. So if you're thinking about Survivor Series, you're kind of saying to yourself, because normally it's champion versus champion, non-title matchup, but normally it's champion versus champion. You can't help but say to yourself, surely Big E, when it counts the most, surely Big E is going to pick up the dub, right? Going into Survivor Series. Can't help but wonder. That's if Roman, and them still going to be holding on to the titles there. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But that pretty much was Raw in a nutshell tonight. So good stuff overall. So on that note, I'm going to say let's stick a fork in it. We're going to call this show DONE done. As far as your next edition of the RCWR show, program and notes and all that, here's what's going down. Tuesday night, we'll be back live. I'm going to say probably, if not 9:30, I'll say 10 p.m. Eastern. We will just strictly talk NWA Power. I did record a NWA episode, but I never got around to uploading it. So as far as last week's NWA Power post show, that's in the books. I just got to upload the damn thing, and I've been kind of busy. So sadly, yeah. But I'm actually going to upload that tomorrow at some point. But we'll go live with, I think this week they're doing Power Surge, NWA Power Surge. So we'll be live. We'll be talking about that. I think what I'll probably do, though, is put up a poll sometime Tuesday and ask you guys if you would like more standalone episodes of NXT coverage, or if you're fine with NXT being talked about on the Wednesday shows. We did a similar poll before, and you guys had said, no, you know what, just talk about NXT on the Wednesday shows like you've been doing. We're fine with that. But now that we've got this whole NXT 2.0 thing that's going on, I'm most curious where you guys are right now. And I see so far a lot of you guys been kind of optimistic about this new NXT. A lot of you guys are kind of like, based on the polling results, I kind of want to, give it a chance. It seems pretty okay so far. I saw some of the comments that you guys were making. So we'll kind of go from there. I'll put up a poll, ask you guys what you want to see happen going forward, and we'll go from there. Because honestly, if it's a case where we'll have to do 2 shows on Tuesday night, I'd be okay with that. I would actually be okay with that. Or if it's a case where we just fuse 1 show, I guess on Tuesday nights, I don't know. It's kind of one of those, I'm gonna sleep on it, but look at the poll when it's live. It's going to be live on YouTube. So go to the YouTube channel. youtube.com/the RCWR show, and click on the communities tab, and you'll see it there. Nowadays, I'm like posting more and more on the communities tab with you guys. And then Wednesday, we'll be back. We'll be covering Dynamite Fallout. What a busy week this is, because this is AEW's Grand Slam week at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. So they are going to have a loaded up episode of Dynamite. And real quick, double check your DVRs and everything. Make sure you're good to go, because it quietly kind of went under the radar. But this Friday's AEW Rampage is going to be a 2-hour show. I repeat, a 2-hour show, not a 1-hour show. It's going to be a 2-hour show. Still at the same time. It's going to be from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight. So make sure you got your DVRs and all that set and ready to go. Will I be live after Rampage goes off the air? Sadly, I will not be, because I write for 411 Mania, as many of you guys know. So besides me doing ongoing live coverage of Rampage, I also have to turn immediately right back around and submit a review for Rampage as well. And so the fact that it's not going to go off until midnight, I'm probably not going to have my review for Rampage up until maybe like 12:15 in the morning at most. And then I actually have to turn around and go to work early Saturday morning. So, as much as I would love to do a special AEW Rampage with you guys, it just would not be possible. It would not be. But if you want to get my thoughts about Rampage, my instant reactions, be sure to check out when my review for the show goes live this Friday. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, I usually don't post comments on Twitter on Fridays when Rampage is on. So your best bet is just check out the review / ongoing coverage on the 411 Mania website, and I'll definitely elaborate more on the next Monday show and all that. But yeah, great week, man. We got a week of loaded up stuff that's going to be going down. Wednesday show we'll also get into Extreme Rules predictions. At least by then we kind of get a little bit closer. We'll have a better idea of what's going on with the card and everything. And in the meantime, definitely be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes of the RCWR show. You might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcast. One more time, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Feel free to hit that like button too. When you hit that like button, you help put more eyeballs on. You see me, I like how I say you put more eyeballs, and I'm plucking my eyelashes here. I hate having long eyelashes. They get tangled up sometimes. Anyway, because I know you guys are seeing me picking at my eye. That's what's going on. My eyelashes are tangled up. Anyway, hit that like button. When you do that, really helps us out a ton. Helps us out a ton big time. Subscribe, all that good jazz. All right? Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. Please, to those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and on the downloads, share your comments. Share your thoughts about any of the things I had said in regards to the Dark Side of the Ring episode, the whole Ric Flair, Tommy Dreamer situation. Agree, disagree with some of the stuff that I made. I make it my business to read every single comment that comes my way, and you know that I've read your stuff when I've clicked the heart. I'm trying to do a little bit better and actually replying and leaving some words as well when reading your stuff. So definitely feel free to sound off. You can even reach at me throughout social media as well. All right, my friends, that is going to do it. Till next go around, wishing all y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. And I'll catch you guys next go around. Thanks for watching, or thanks for listening. Check y'all out later. Take care.